Hello, everyone. This is Kerwin, and welcome to another episode of Travel Talk. And today we're going to be talking about trains, the price of train tickets, and is it cheaper to buy one before you travel or on the day of travel? Let's go. So a friend of mine sent me a note just now. He's planning a summer trip, and he wanted to know, should I buy the ticket? He's going to the UK, and he wanted to know, should I buy the ticket when I get to the airport, or should I buy it now? That's a loaded question. Typically, I buy my tickets as I go because I never know when I'm gonna be where I'm gonna be. I'm a very impulsive traveler. And so if you're doing if you're planning ahead and you know that my flight arrives at this time and I need to take this train, then and by all means go ahead and buy your ticket in advance. Uh Typically most of the trains, if you miss a train, you may be able to use it for the next train. Sometimes you cannot. But it depends. It normally tells you when you go to buy the train tickets. Uh, the other concern is the fare cheaper when I buy it in advance? Again, it depends. Some train systems, it actually will be cheaper, and others, it's the same price. Now, what may not be there is availability. So when you actually get there, you go to buy the ticket, there might be, well, this train is sold out. We don't have any more seats. In places like London, the trains are very frequent. So you buy a ticket for that route, you don't buy it for a particular train time, and you just take the next train. And then you show your ticket when you go through the barrier and you go find your seat. In places like Germany, for the long distance trains, you actually buy a seat on the train in a particular cabin and it has a number. Now that does work in the UK as well, but it works if you're going to London to Glasgow. Then you actually get a specific seat. And when you get on there, you see the number, and some actually have your last name in there. So you can actually see where you need to sit. So it just depends on the kind of journey you're doing. If you're just doing the commuter train, that will take you, like, you're going into Philadelphia and you want to take the train from Philadelphia airport into Philadelphia itself, then you can just buy the ticket as you go, because typically the fares are going to be the same, unless it's like a special deal that they have, which is extremely rare. But same thing, like if you're going from Gatwick, if you're flying into Gatwick and you're going Gatwick into the city, um, unless it's like a special fare that they have, which they do have from time to time, you can just buy the ticket when you arrive and just take the next train that you need to go. Now, if you're doing something like the um, I always forget the name of the train that goes between Eurail, the one that goes between London and Paris, then the earlier you buy those tickets, the better, because just like airfares, they increase as you get to your departure date. So if you're traveling today and you're buying today, it's going to be very expensive. Whereas if you bought it a few weeks ago, it's not going to be as expensive. So what you can do to figure this out is try to buy a ticket for today, or probably usually for tomorrow, because if you try to buy for today, unless it's early in the morning, Europe, if you're in the US, Europe is 6 or 7 hours ahead, depending where you are. Um, well, I guess 5, 6 or 7 hours, depending where you are in the US. And so what you have to try to figure out is, if I bought a ticket today, how much is it going to cost me? And if I buy the ticket for a trip, for a journey in 2 weeks or a month, how much is it going to cost me? And then you can tell, if should I buy the ticket today or should I wait until later. One thing to note is a lot of the machines in Europe do not take American Express. And so if you have an American Express card, you can buy the ticket online with the American Express card, but typically the kiosk won't accept the American Express card. So bear that in mind. Visa and MasterCard are the biggest things. Actually, MasterCard, I think, is a bigger one in Europe. And so you'll find as you go through Europe, Just always look and see if the sign is in. Now, sometimes the kiosk won't accept American Express, but when you go into the ticket counter and talk to somebody, they will accept the American Express card there. Typically, they'll just do a tap, which works really well. It's not like the US where they take your card and they look at it and they write stuff down. They don't do that. They just twice swipe or tap or stick it in. Is usually what you do. The other thing to remember is um, there might be visa requirements when you're crossing borders. So I was in Serbia and I was going through, I went to Bosnia, Herzegovina, and I was going from Bosnia back to Serbia, but I was going through Croatia. And so when I got on the train, the border guards at the Croatia border came on and checked passports. So if you're traveling in Europe, ensure that you have your passports because some countries that are not part of the European Union or things like that, you will need a passport to cross the borders. If you're going from Europe now, from the UK now into the rest of Europe, since they're no longer a part of the EU, they did the Brexit thing. You will need to make sure you have your proper documentation when you're doing that. And I think that's probably a lot of trains that train journey is pretty amazing. I'm actually thinking of doing one this in about 2 weeks, maybe. Probably going from like the south of France up to Paris, which is not too bad. I love flying, but I also love trains, and it's like a 5 hour journey in the TGV. Now, this one I know, uh, if you buy the ticket now, it's super cheap. If I wait until the day of travel, it's going to be super expensive. So I'm trying to weigh that. But I hope this answers your question. So in short, um, if it's a commuter rail, which means that there's lots of trains every 5 minutes or something like that, then typically you can buy it on the spot and you should be okay. You may not pay too much. Oh, one thing. Um, in the UK, they have what's called same day returns. So like for like it's so ridiculous. It's like a penny more, you can get a round trip ticket. So they call it they call them returns, and they have single just one ways. And so what you do is that you go to the kiosk, you buy it, and let's say in Reading, you're going to London for the day. You can go right into London for the day. It's like 25 pounds or something like that. And if you want to return, same day return, it's like 25 pounds and a pence. And then you pay that, you use the same ticket to come back through there. But it has to be done during the day. And some of these tickets, depending on, they may say, if you travel at a particular time of the day, it's cheaper. So they call them peaks and off peak. So the peak train is when everybody's on the train. And so you have to pay a lot more. But if you wait for the off-peak train, you don't. If you get on the wrong train, so let's say you have an off-peak ticket and you're on a peak train, you may be required to pay the difference. So make sure you watch the times and go on the train that you paid for. And if you want a different train, just pay for that train. So I hope that helps. So to recap, uh, it may be more expensive if you buy the train tickets on arrival, but typically the long distance trains, it's best if you buy it before because they will have special deals and the prices will increase because you have to get like specific seats. Oh, one thing to remember that some of these trains, if you pay for a specific seat, then you sit in a specific car. If you don't pay for a specific seat, then you go to a random car and you sit wherever there's a seat available. And once it's full, it's full. You can't buy any more tickets for that. When you get to the station, there are specific spots because the tickets are numbered. There are specific spots where you need to stand so you get in the right spot of your train. Otherwise, just walk through the train until you find your own thing. And for long distance trains, you can buy in advance because it might be cheaper. But for commuter trains, just like trains that leave on the hour or something like that, it's usually the same price, whether you buy it before or on the day of travel. But just research where you are and where you're going, which train you're taking, and what you're doing. I hope this helped. This is Kerwin with Password.com and cruising2.com. Have a great trip and enjoy that train journey. Talk to you soon.